Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Bay Area Musicians Podcast. I am your host, Matt Gretter. Thank you so much for joining me here on this Saturday. It's a little gloomy outside, but it's the weekend, and we're going to have a good time here on the show today. Um, as you know, what I like to do with the Bay Area Musicians Podcast is introduce you guys to all of the artists and different musicians who are out here in the Bay Area and really just shine a light on the music scene out here. Even though we may not necessarily be, LA, New York, and Nashville, it is still a very rich music scene out here. We have a lot of history, a lot of great bands and musicians have come out of here. And I'm just trying to introduce you guys to what is really out here, and that a lot of artists and a lot of venues are really worth checking out. So that's all I'm really trying to do. And actually, this episode, we're actually going to highlight a couple of local slash historic venues that are in the Bay Area, ranging from the South Bay all the way to San Francisco. So we're just gonna San Francisco, and even one in the East Bay, believe it or not. A lot of these I've actually had the opportunity to play at. Some of them I have not, but I hope to one day. And so yeah, we're just gonna do a little bit of venue promotion in this episode, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So we're gonna dive into that in a little bit. But what I would like to do very, very quickly is I normally don't. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the right words here. I typically don't want to really dive into this subject because I know it's a little controversial, but at the same time, I think, especially now, it's worth addressing. As we all know, that we've seen on the news this past Wednesday, Charlie Kirk was assassinated in Utah. And whether you agreed with him or not, he was a father, a husband, son, brother. He was another human being. And being a human being itself automatically demands respect and value, regardless of his political or religious beliefs. And he did not deserve what he got. So I would like to have a quick moment of silence for Charlie, and we will dive into the episode in just a minute. So we really got a lot of stuff to cover this in this episode because there's a lot of history with these venues that I have selected for this particular episode. There will be more venue promotion episodes going forward, but these first four, which we are going to be highlighting in today's show, they have a lot of rich history. A lot of great musicians and bands have come through, and they are highly respectable and highly historic venues. So let's just dive right on into it. The very first venue that we're going to highlight today is one that I got the pleasure of being able to perform with Redwood City local artist Micah Nuzzi, who was on the show last week, for the very first time having a local artist headline this place. We talked about it last episode, but it is still nonetheless amazing, and that is the Fox Theater in Redwood City, California. And this theater is highly, highly historic. In fact, when I was looking up the history for this particular venue, there were some things I found out that I never even knew about. So before we dive into the calendar, let's just take a look at a little bit of the history of the Fox Theater, which according to their website, you can find this out under the on the About page, and the history of the Fox is that it originally opened on January 2nd, 1929, known as the New Sequoia Theater, and it was actually a movie theater. It was showing a lot. It was all for movies, and it ran that way up until 1950, where it was decided amongst management that they were going to renovate the theater and turn it into a live music venue. And ever since 1950, so many great artists have come through, like the likes of Vanessa Williams, Etta James, Neil Young, Melissa Etheridge, and B.B. King, the king of the blues, and so many more. And most recently, Micah Nuzzi, Redwood City native. And actually, in 1993, the Fox Theater was inducted into the National Register of Historic Places. And ever since then, and even up until today, so many artists, including Micah Nuzzi and God knows how many others, have coming through, and they're still coming through to this day. On average, they host about 150 shows, according to the statistics that I'm looking at right now, which brings approximately 25,000 patrons to the Fox Theater and just the general area of downtown Redwood City. If you are into just like downtown culture, restaurants, theaters, music, and movie theaters, downtown Redwood City is an absolute hopping place. In fact, it's one of the most active downtown cultures or nightlife areas in the entire Bay Area. Arguably, according to this too, that downtown Redwood City in general is the most hopping place between San Francisco and San Jose. So that in itself is worth checking out. I have eaten at a lot of the restaurants there, a lot of Mexican, a lot of Italian, and some Thai. All of it is fabulous. And I highly recommend you check out downtown Redwood City if you're ever coming in on vacation or just wanting to have a night out on the town. Downtown Redwood City is the place to go. You will absolutely not be disappointed. So that's just a little bit of the history of the Fox Theater. And so let's just talk a little bit about the schedule that they got coming up. So they have a lot of shows coming up between now and the end of the year, but I just took a couple off of their schedule just to highlight a couple of the shows. First one that they have coming up will be on Saturday, October 18th, where Nashville recording and touring artist and a country music sensation Sara Evans will be coming. She is originally from Missouri, and she's known for hits like Suds in the Bucket in 2003. Same with Backseat of a Greyhound Bus, which was also released in 2003. She also did a cover of Radney Foster's Real Fine Place to Start, which was in 2005. And arguably, in my humble opinion, one of the biggest hits that she ever received. And also, I think it's critically acclaimed to that as well, that went platinum, if I'm not mistaken, was when she released her single A Little Bit Stronger in 2010. And she was, and she is currently actually the 5th most played female artist on country radio. So that in itself is worth checking out. Sara Evans' music is absolutely the best. She's an incredible storyteller. The sound is not only traditional, but it's got a little bit of rock elements in there, which I really love. Growing up as a rock artist, so you are not going to want to miss Sara Evans. And also on that show, I'm very happy to announce that opening for her will be my dear friend and up and coming country music sensation Sophia Clare. She will be opening for Sara Evans on that show. Doors will be opening at 6 p.m. for that show, and music with Sophia Clare starting will begin at 7 p.m. That's a show you're definitely going to want to check out. Do not miss it. And also on their calendar, another highlighted show. This isn't for a little while, but on Sunday, November 23rd, this is a show that I've had the pleasure of actually seeing a couple of times, is the James Garner tribute to Johnny Cash. James Garner, he's, for those of you who don't know, he is a dare I say, Johnny Cash impersonator, because you look at this guy, he looks exactly like Johnny Cash when Johnny was younger. And the band has been going on for approximately 18 years, and their mission is to recreate the sound of Johnny Cash and playing all of his hits and absolutely everything that goes along with that. And they are currently touring the Western United States, Canada, Nevada, Idaho, Arizona. And according to their calendar on their website, they are actually heading to Pennsylvania next year. Like I said, not only does he look like Johnny, he also sounds like Johnny. He really, really does. Like, if you were to close your eyes and listen to Johnny and James singing at the same time, I guarantee you will not be able to tell the difference. And one thing that I really like about James' show is that in between songs, he will tell stories about Johnny. And whether it be something that happened in the studio or whether a certain song, while Johnny was recording it, had certain elements, or they were trying to achieve something but didn't have like the budget for, but then a little bit of ingenuity or something like that really helped to get Johnny through it. And so those stories that he integrates into the show are amazing, because a lot of them, when I got to see James perform, both my wife Brianna and I, we saw him twice. The first time was at another venue, which I will definitely highlight in another episode, is the San Francisco Performing Arts Center, right at the top of the peninsula, right on the marina of San Francisco. And every single show, he does meet and greets, and we actually got to meet him. And he is the super down to earth guy, super humble for everybody who comes out to the show. And we saw him again in Lincoln, California, when we were up visiting my wife Brianna's grandparents' house, and he just happened to be coming to town at the Lincoln Amphitheater, and so we saw him and we got to meet him again. And the coolest part was, at that meet and greet, we get up there and we're face to face with him again, and he immediately remembered us. So he takes the time at those meet and greets to really get to know you personally, and he remembers you. You're not just, a body in the seat. You are somebody who is contributing to his mission to carry on the music of Johnny Cash, and he never takes that for granted. So, like I said, he will be at the Fox Theater on Sunday, November 23rd, and doors will open at 2 p.m. for that show, and the music will begin at 3 p.m. Not going to want to miss that. And then on the following week, on Saturday, November 29th, is another tribute band that'll be performing at the Fox Theater, which is the ever-famed Fleetwood Mac. I think you can guess who they pay tribute to. But anyway, I'll still say it anyway. They are a tribute to Fleetwood Mac. And Fleetwood Mac, they bring the entire catalog of Fleetwood Mac music to the audience. They don't play just the hits. They bring the entire catalog. And they're currently on tour of the Western states as well. California, Oregon, and Utah. And in March of next year, they're actually going to be appearing in Florida. I can't remember the name of the venue of which they're playing at in Florida, but they are a nationally touring act. And the coolest thing is that they actually have a quote from Mick Fleetwood himself. And it says this: "This band does it right. I am proud to know the music of Fleetwood Mac is in good hands indeed." To have such a compliment from the man himself who wrote the music, that says something. These guys, and I haven't seen them in person, but I've seen a lot of their videos. They are the best tribute band of Fleetwood Mac that I have seen, whether in person or on YouTube. They are the real deal, and Mick Fleetwood is not kidding. So, once again, they will be at the Fox Theater on Saturday, November 29th, and the doors will open at 6:30, and the show will start at 7:30. And the last show that we're going to highlight from the Fox Theater is we are going to be, I'm sorry, the last show that we're going to be highlighting for the Fox Theater is going to be next year on January 30th. And that is going to be Take It to the Limit, the Eagles tribute band. And for Take It to the Limit, they, like I said, they are an Eagles tribute band. They play all the hits of the Eagles. And one of the things that the Eagles were really known for that is extremely hard to recreate and execute accurately are the vocal harmonies. You listen to any Eagles song, you just listen to those vocal harmonies. They are literally not of this earth. That's how incredible they are. So anybody who is putting together any kind of a tribute band for the Eagles, that is something that is very hard to pull off. And I saw a video of these guys on YouTube performing Take It Easy by the Eagles, and their execution of the vocal harmonies is spot on. If you can recreate as close as possible to one of the biggest signatures of any band, which in this case for the Eagles is harmonies, if you can recreate that, you know you have a special band, and they are definitely worth seeing. They are currently touring the entire United States of America and Canada. That'll be on January 30th. You are not going to want to miss all 4 shows. Sarah Evans with Sophia Clare, James Gardner Tribute Show, Fleetwood Mask, and Take It to the Limit at the Fox Theater. You are not going to want to miss it. Well, that's it for the Fox Theater, one that I got the chance to play at, and really looking forward to hopefully playing there again one day. And that is in the history of that venue is bar none. 1929 opening up as a movie theater, renovating into a concert venue in 1950, and has been hosting so many music artists for all of those years up until today, and is still going strong. I highly recommend you see a show there. All right, the next venue that we got going on is another historic venue that has been around even longer than the Fox Theater. Well, maybe not necessarily from the concert standpoint, but the fact that the property itself has been around even earlier than the Fox Theater itself. That it is incredible, and we're going to dive into that history here. And that is the Mountain Winery in Saratoga, California. I have been to quite a few shows here, and it is an unbelievable place. It is high up in the Saratoga Hills, and one of the most breathtaking things about the Mountain Winery is the backdrop. You can't see it in this picture, but if you were to look further that way from your perspective watching this video, if you turn and look that way, you're high up in the hills of Saratoga overlooking Silicon Valley. Nothing in front of you, just a valley below. Open blue skies overhead, and just that view alone, it makes me want to go there to see a show every single time, just for the view, okay? So just a little bit of the history of the Mountain Winery. In 1878, a guy named Paul Mason arrived to the United States, and particularly to San Francisco, and with which eventually over the next couple of years he started collaborating with a guy named Charles Lefranc, if I'm pronouncing that right, to put California wine on the map. So when we think of California, we think of wine country in Napa Valley, Napa and Sonoma counties, which is absolutely amazing. But according to the history that I read, it's really it was really this winery, which was founded in 1905, originally called La Cresta, or also known as Paul's Vineyard in the Sky, because it was on a hill. It was originally this vineyard that put California wine on the map, and then Napa and Sonoma wine really took over. I could be totally wrong about that, but just based on what I have seen on this history, it actually the birth of California wine being put on the world map actually began in Saratoga, not Napa. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. Let's see. Eventually in 1936, Paul sold the winery to a guy named Martin Ray, and as a tribute to Paul, he actually kept the name Paul Mason as a tribute to Paul. And then eventually, this is what turns it into a music venue. In 1958, they constructed what you see here in this picture. It's they call it the Concert Bowl, and they started to host concerts. Mainly, they call it the Concert Summer Series because they don't host concerts year round. Mainly during the summer months. I think it starts in June, if I'm thinking of that right, or maybe May, but and it goes until the end of October, I think. Even though October is fall, they extend it into October. So the Concert Summer Series is something we're checking out. They get really big names coming through. Like just recently, they had ZZ Top come through. Approximately, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 months ago, Brianna and we saw Wynonna Judd there. And my very first show that I ever saw at the Mountain Winery was about 4 years ago, I think, when Lynyrd Skynyrd came and they performed at the winery. And just the experience of seeing a concert there and wine tasting and the restaurants they have on site, it is absolutely amazing. Just to highlight a little bit of the calendar for the Mountain Winery, actually in a couple of days, on Tuesday, September 16th, 38 Special, who are Southern rock legends, they will be at the Mountain Winery. The doors will open at 5:30 p.m. and the show will start at 7:30. I've listened to 38 Special with my dad growing up in my musical journey constantly, and I love their music, and I highly recommend, for those of you who have not seen the 38 Special show, you really need to go check this one out. And you can get your tickets at the Mountain Winery website, mountainwinery.com. And next on the calendar, they have a lot of shows, not just the ones that I'm highlighting here, but I just picked out a couple of ones that really stood out to me. And that would be the next one will be for Thursday, September 25th, where one of the relatively new country music groups, Midland, will be coming through the Mountain Winery. And for those of you who do not know Midland, I guess you would call them like traditional country in the modern age. Like they're known, one of their biggest songs, I think it was their first breakout song, called Drinking Problem. You could hear a lot of traditional sound in that song and their entire catalog. And I'm a really big traditional country music fan, and therefore I am also a Midland fan, and I highly recommend that you would go check them out. The doors will open at 5:30, and the show will also start at 7:30, same as the 38 Special. Doors open at 5:30, show starts at 7:30. Then the next show to highlight will be on Thursday, October 9th, when the Marshall Tucker Band is coming. Needless to say, everybody knows the Marshall Tucker Band, and it's hands down a show that you are not going to want to miss. And just in the small interest of full disclosure, the times of doors and showtime are exactly the same for every single show. So just like everybody else, the Marshall Tucker Band, the doors for the venue will open at 5:30, and the show will start at 7:30. Go check them out. And the last show that will be highlighted for the Mountain Winery is Tuesday, October 28th. Boz Scaggs is coming to the Mountain Winery. Doors opening at 5:30 and show starting at 7:30. And if I remember reading his bio correctly, Boz actually joined the Marshall Tucker Band or was it Marshall Tucker Band or Steve Miller Band? It was one of those two. But I now that I think about it, I think it was the Steve Miller Band that he joined for a short while. I'm thinking it was back in the 70s or maybe the 60s. And so anybody who knows Boss Skaggs automatically knows they're going to be in for an incredible show. So get your tickets for all of these shows. 38 Special on September 16th, Midland September 25th, Marshall Tucker Band October 9th, and Boz Skaggs on October 28th. Get your tickets at mountainwinery.com. You're not going to want to miss any of those shows, and you will fall in love with the Mountain Winery the second you walk through the door. I guarantee it. Now, the next venue that we're going to be highlighting today is definitely one of the more smaller local venues, but still has a very, very rich history and has featured so many up and coming artists. They like to feature smaller artists, and like you could probably classify this venue as like a cutting your teeth type venue, but still a lot of great people have come through here despite this venue featuring more so up and coming artists, but still great people have come through. And this venue is in San Francisco called Bottom of the Hill. I played here many years ago when a artist from San Francisco, Tawny Kendall, was doing her CD release party for her album Whalefall that released a couple years ago. And you walk into that place, it's an elevated stage, the bar's right next to the door there, and it is completely packed. Every single time they have an outdoor area where if you wanted to get away from the stage for a little bit, you can have your food outside. Oh yeah, they have a full kitchen. You can have your food outside. You can have it inside. It's a really incredible place. Regarding the history of Bottom of the Hill, it's relatively brief, but going by what I saw on their website, there wasn't like a full in-depth description about the history, but there were a couple of things like in 2021 it marked 30 years in business, which means that it originally opened in 1991 in San Francisco and is really known for featuring up-and-coming artists, like, for example, Tawny Kendall, who I played with. And actually, at the time that this podcast was recorded, tomorrow, which is the 14th of September, they're actually featuring a San Francisco local heavy metal band called Amp Sex. And that is going to be tomorrow. And Bottom of the Hill was actually chosen by Rolling Stone magazine in 1999 and voted as the best place to hear live music in San Francisco. And it features a lot of world touring artists. Maybe not necessarily, like Luke Combs or ZZ Top or any of those like big bands, but there are also on a slightly smaller scale, people from Europe who have traveled on tour through San Francisco. They have played at Bottom of the Hill, and it is highly regarded as one of those venues that attracts so many artists. You're definitely going to want to check out Bottom of the Hill. They have a lot of shows booked, far too many to name, but particularly tomorrow is going to be heavy metal band Amp Sex. So you're definitely going to want to check them out. And you can go to bottomofthehill.com for more information about upcoming artists and shows. I really like this venue, and also as a fun little side note, the company who I drive big trucks for my day job, I deliver beer, and Bottom of the Hill is one of our customers. So I've been there a couple of times, even though I'm not delivering in San Francisco necessarily anymore. I did once, and so I've been bottom of the hill for both for work and for music. So that's pretty cool. Okay, and the last venue that we are going to be highlighting today is a venue just across the bay in Albany, California, that's been around for a very long time, ever since the early 1940s. And that is the Ivy Room. The Ivy Room, as I said, is in Albany, California. It features music artists of every genre. So, like, for example, you may have seen, like, hey, this place that we have here is a country bar. We feature live music, but our specialty, hence being a country bar, is more so country music. They may vary a little bit, but they don't necessarily have the widest range of music artists that they would have in, because they want to highlight the type of music that their bar represents. Whereas Ivy Room, they have a wide spectrum. I've also played at the Ivy Room several years ago when my good friend Mike Hellman, who I still perform with today and hope to have on the show, when he got a show there at the Ivy Room, and it is an incredible place. So many people have come through. In fact, one of the coolest things, just like with Mick Fleetwood commenting on Fleetwood Mac, Billie Joe Armstrong, who is the frontman for the Oakland band Green Day, for those who don't know, who is a very, very big band for sure. He said, "This is my favorite place to play in the Bay Area." So he does music outside of Green Day, and based on the couple of pictures that I found on the Ivy Room's website when Billie Joe came into play, it was not the Green Day members. It was not Trey Cool, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the bass player's name, but it was a completely different band. But Billy was performing there, and to get a compliment from that, from somebody who plays in one of the biggest bands in history, that says a lot. And it was originally founded in the early 1940s, and over the years, there's been a lot of ownership changes, and apparently, as the story goes, the most recent owners who are now Laney Torres, if I say that right, and please forgive me if I'm butchering any names if you happen to be listening. Most recently, Laney Torres and Summer Yeager, Jager, I think that's how you say it. When they purchased the bar, they got a lot of feedback saying that up until the point of them purchasing the Ivy Room, it really wasn't what it used to be, in the sense that there was not a wide range of artists being booked. They were focusing more on only a couple different genres of music instead of letting everybody come in. So based on that, they pretty much returned the Ivy Room to what it used to be, and they still own the bar to this day, and it is still going strong. You can check the schedules for all upcoming shows for the Ivy Room at their website, ivyroom.com. You're definitely going to want to check out this venue, and there will be many, many more venues to come in future episodes that we highlight. That's pretty much it for this episode here today. I know I could go on forever and ever choosing venues that I want to highlight for letting you guys know how many venues are out there, what is out there, and who else is out there in terms of artists, which I'm already having quite a few reach out to me to be on this show, which we will have. I promise you that. Thank you once again for tuning in with me here today, and looking forward to many, many, many more episodes. We do have a unusual guest coming in on the next episode. She's not a musician, but I figured it would be an interesting concept to flip the script a little bit. my cousin Nicole will be joining me, and it'll be very interesting. She'll get to ask me some questions about what I honestly don't even know what it's going to be about. I imagine that some of those questions would be about music, but who knows what else they're going to be about. And so really looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. And before we go, though, I would like to just leave you with a passage that I really resonate with, even going back to the days of my childhood and how I was raised, and just in recent light of Charlie Kirk's assassination and all of the violence that we have been seeing in the news today. I would like to read you a passage from Leviticus chapter 19, verses 17 through 18. Do not harbor hatred against your brother. Rebuke your neighbor directly, and you will not incur guilt because of him. Do not take revenge or bear a grudge against neighbors of your community, but love your neighbor as yourself. That's just a strong reminder that we are all human beings together. We may not see eye to eye on quite a few things. We all have different points of view, but we are all human beings first. And that automatically deserves respect. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and looking forward to the next one. I will see you next time on the Bay Area Musicians Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.